How's it going, everyone? Doc here with Eyes Wide Shot Gaming, and today we are super excited to bring you an absolutely insane skill power build for the brand new Descendant, Hailey. Stick around. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date on all of your first Descendant news, info, builds, and breakdowns, as well as many other games. With the newly released update yesterday came a plethora of additions to the first Descendant, but none of them have made us as excited as trying out the brand new chill-based Descendant, Hailey. Let's get right into the modules that this overpowered build requires. Since Hailey has not yet received any Transcendent modules, we have left the skill module window empty for now, but that is subject to change as time goes on. So let's go on and begin this module breakdown with the sub-attack module we always use, Kicking. We can swap this out with any other module, from the Shock Punch to the Multi-Maneuvering mod. We want our build to focus heavily on our skill power as well as our skill crit, so skill concentration was a no-brainer with its additive power to our skill critical hit damage by 115.4%. We follow up with Maximize Power. This will give us a great big boost to our skill power modifier by 96.1%. But the drawback to this huge buff is that our skill cooldown is increased by 50%. Not to worry, as the damage we deal will compensate this. Our next module is Chill Specialist. Since the main focus revolves around a singular chill skill, we want to increase the chill skill power by 81.2% with this mod. Following suit, Glacial Syntium will further increase our chill skill power by 10.2%, as well as give us a nice pad to our critical hit resistance by 15.1%. We don't want to be completely squishy, so we added Spear and Shield for its defense increase that's just shy of 90%, and another increase towards our skill power by 8.1%. The next mod is our Ultimate Arc Tech Module Dangerous Ambush. This is our best choice, as when testing other Arc Tech modules like Technique Manual and Multi-Talented, we've noticed that Dangerous Ambush yields the greatest damage output. When we land a skill attack while not being targeted, our skill power increases by close to 25%. And when the enemy is immobilized or the boss is taking a knee, this is further increased to almost 50% to our skill power. The build heavily requires critical hit damage and critical hit rate, so naturally, Front Lines was the next choice with its increase to our skill critical hit damage by 64.6%, as well as skill critical hit rate by 27.7%. For our next module, we were torn between HP Amplification and Nimble Fingers. So we found a happy middle ground with Time Distribution, which does both drop our skill cooldown by 14.3%, as well as gives us a little 52.4% increase to our max HP. The next module continues to go along with stacking crits. Skill Insight gives us a nice big boost to our skill critical hit rate by 115.4%. And finally, the last module is Emergency Measures, which is the reverse of Front Lines, giving us an increase to skill critical hit rate by 64.6%, as well as skill critical hit damage by 27.7%. The applied values on the left-hand side reveal a solid overall buff to our skills with skill power modifier at 96.1%. Our skill cooldown is increased by 35.7%, critical hit resistance is at 15.1%, but our chill skill power is increased by 91.4%. Our defense is just shy of 90%, our skill power has a little bit of an extra buff at 8.1%, our skill critical hit damage and rate both at a whopping 207.7% increase, and our max HP increased by 52.4% for a little survivability. The main skill that will deal our damage is our second skill, Storm Snare, and we want to get our skill power from freezing beam direct damage as high as possible. We aren't sure if there is a chance to get past that 9,000% ceiling, but for now, holding steady at 8,998.3% works well. We also can't forget our third skill, Cold Fury, which increases our firearm and skill crit hit rate by 2.5% per stack. going up to 16 stacks, giving us a nice 40% increase to each, but does drop our movement speed by 2.5% per stack as well. Let's move on over and see what reactor as well as external components we have equipped before looking at our damage in the lab, as well as against a Pyromaniac. So we opted for the Frozen Singularity Reactor. We have managed to fish one out, but unfortunately its optimization condition is tied to the Executor Shotgun. Ideally, we want to find one for either the Piercing Light or Afterglow, as our fourth skill is tied closely to the damage output of our held weapon. The skill power boost ratio revolves around chill skill power and singular skill power, and our stats at the bottom are skill effect range and skill critical hit damage. We would much rather find something that has skill critical hit damage and rate, or skill critical hit damage and additional skill damage against Colossus, but for now, this works just fine. Once again, after hours of testing, we have come to the conclusion that the Slayer set is the most ideal for this build, solely due to the 4-set skill power increase of 26.1%. This tops out any other set, even ones that revolve around chill skill power. Let's take a quick look at how this build works in the lab before going toe-to-toe against the Pyromaniac. We hold out our optimization condition weapon, activate our third ability, and wait until we achieve 16 stacks, although we should be comfortable to fire by 10 stacks. Once we are fully stacked up, we proc our second ability and see a base damage of 6.3 million, as well as almost 32 million damage with a crit hit. This build will work wonders on any boss, especially those who have a low attribute resistance to chill damage like the Pyromaniac. Once in the fight, we proc our third ability when we see the boss descending, and then follow up with our second ability to achieve over 14 million damage on the boss, followed by our fourth ability, which goes hand in hand with our weapon that we are holding, dishing out close to 8 million damage per shot, finishing the boss off. Although if we have a sniper, this number will be even higher. Hopefully this build makes boss grinding easier for many of our viewers, and as always, Descendants, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and until next time, so long.